YouTube. There has been an absolute doozy of a video that just came out about 2 weeks ago from Renaissance Periodization or Mike Israetel about undertraining the muscles you want the most, which is kind of interesting because I could take a pretty good guess of which muscle groups he's specifically talking about, that we all have muscles that are undertrained or small in his point of view. And I don't like talking crap on other people, but he spreads a lot of misinformation about training and about exercise in general, especially for people that are naturals. I noticed a lot of the stuff that he talks about is more geared towards gear and a lot of the things that you would be implementing to your program, if you're natural, of course, wouldn't really do you very much justice, right? Because he's been training for years, and most of those years are going to be on steroids.
These three muscles make radical visual impacts if they get bigger. And because you're not training them right, and often, and not training them enough, you don't have your best look.
Now, right off the bat, he talks about 3 specific muscles that he believes a lot of people are undertraining. and funny enough, it's the ones that everybody says that he does not do good on. I'm looking at it right now. His side delts are not very clean. His biceps are decent. They're pretty okay right here just from him sitting down. But look at this. When you look at him when he's flexing on stage, they're definitely not one to be desired. That's just to say it nicely. Triceps, I mean, they speak for themselves. You could just look at the video right now and you can already tell that it's just straight up and down, right? And it's not a lot of pop to that. And then again, they're not one to be desired, just like with shoulders and biceps. And funny enough, it's the ones that he has issues with the most. But a lot of people that I see that are beginners or naturals, at least in the beginning stages of being a natural, I could agree with some of the things that he's saying. Biceps, maybe, definitely shoulders, and triceps. Now, I probably agree with these 3 muscle groups being underdeveloped, but it's definitely not because of undertraining like he's going to talk about in the video. Definitely not the reason why.
The problem with how most people train side delts is that they do so almost as an afterthought to actual delt training. Wait, if side delts are an afterthought in too many people's delt training, what's the main focus? Well, it's front delts, of course, and this is for really 2 reasons.
Now, I partly agree with him and I partly don't. There is no way that people are treating, at least for the most part, side delts as an afterthought. There's literally a trend going on right now about people that should be spamming side delts, spam lateral raises to death. While I don't really agree with that idea, it's definitely not because people are really treating side delts as an afterthought. Now, the part that I do agree with him on, it's definitely going to be that a lot of people do overhead presses. A lot of people do bench press, and it hits their front delts a lot. So a lot of people have front delts that are a little more on the overdeveloped side. I definitely agree with that part because they get hit quite a few times, right? But they get hit with a lot of load, a lot of heavy weight. So the issue is definitely not too little volume. It could be the idea of intensity, but not the intensity that he's talking about. And last in a session, I mean, it depends on what people are doing. I could just tell you straight up, if you have a muscle group that's lagging and it's last in your session and you're tired by the time you get to it, then yeah, probably switch it out, put it towards the beginning, and you start your workouts like that. That's why if you have a lagging side delts, you're going to want to start with side delts. Or if you have lagging rear delts, you're going to want to start with rear delts for your shoulder days. Another thing that I agree with him on a little bit is side delt variations. Yeah, there's kind of like piss all for side delt variations. I mean, there's not a ton of side delts that you could do, but the fact that he just says dumbbell lateral raises and that's it, that's kind of like, come on, dude, that's ridiculous. There's dumbbells lateral raises, there's cable lateral raises, there's even the upright row. And if you do overhead press a certain way, you can even hit the side delts depending on how you're positioned, your biomechanics and everything else, right? You can even hit the side delts. I think there was like a video that came out with Will Tennyson where he was doing an overhead press and he had a lot of activation right there on that meaty goddamn delt, right? So you can definitely hit it with more than just one exercise like he's trying to claim in the video here.
Do at least 3 to 6 sets per side delt exercise in each session. And do 2 side delt exercises in each session in which you train delts.
Oh my god, bro. 3 to 6 sets per exercise per session is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous amount of volume. 2 to 4 side delt sessions per week is, don't do that.
What are you, fucking stupid? Huh?
You are not going to be growing more if you do way more volume. That's a ton of volume for one muscle group. I understand that they recover really well, but if you're hitting your delts properly, you're definitely going to be sore and you're really going to feel those movements a lot. And you're not going to be hitting them as much as he's claiming that you're going to be hitting them. 4 times a week? Come on. Like, that's... I'll explain more as I get to the end of it when I watch all of them, and I'll explain how all 3 of these muscles, how he's explaining it, is not the right way to do it. But don't do 3 to 6 sets per exercise per session. That would be, if you did 2 side delt exercises like he's doing, what? That's like 6 sets in one day. This is the minimum, 3 sets, right? And then that would be 6 sets for one day. Then 12 sets for 2 times a week. And he doesn't even recommend 2 times a week. He recommends 4 times a week. So that's quadruple the amount of sets that you should be doing. You'll be spending so much time hitting your delts that it's not even funny. So the fact that he's saying that you should hit your delts this much is just absurd.
Most people train their biceps a few times a week, and maybe even once directly and once during back training. They do some cable curls, some dumbbell curls, some hammer curls, and call it a day.
This is another thing I kind of agree with him on, actually, funny enough. A lot of people don't focus on their biceps as the main thing for their movement. I've met a lot of people where they're like, oh, I already hit biceps when I do my back day, so I don't really need it. I'm telling you guys, you're gonna need, like, maybe not a whole dedicated day where it's just bicep day, but you need to do some direct bicep work if you want to build up your biceps. That's just how it is. You can't just skip over them. I mean, as I'm arguing against ChatGPT right here, dude, like, it feels like I'm talking to ChatGPT, explaining to it how all of this information is wrong. Because, well, okay, not all of it, but most of the information is wrong. And then 3 to 6 working sets for each exercise, 2 exercises per session.
Everybody knows you never go full retard. You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Once again, it's just like shoulders. You're doing way too much volume. He's trying to have you just wreck your biceps just from pure volume alone. I know that he's had some issues in the past about how more volume equals more muscle. So just keep increasing sets and you'll forever build up more muscle. But the thing is that these groups of muscles are just like any other group of muscles. Don't overdo them. Don't overtrain them this much. And that's why I say that a lot of his tips and advice are for fucking rich piano, dude. They're not for anyone else that's actually natural and trying to develop their biceps and their shoulders. It's just too much. And training biceps 3 times per week is also another load of crap. He's like telling you to do so many sets for these small muscle groups when you don't need that much. And then here's another reason why, if he was a fake natty, obviously he's not a fake natty, but like if a fake natty was to tell you this exact same thing where he says to add 2.5 pounds or 1 rep as progression per week, that's nuts, dude. That's a lot of weight. 2.5 pounds for biceps is ridiculous per week. You give yourself about a month and you're building up 2.5 pounds a week, you will literally be blowing everyone out of the water when it comes to your biceps around your gym. Give yourself another year and you're going to be competing for world class level bicep curls if you're adding 2.5 pounds per week or 1 rep of progression a week. Like, my progression for reps is not even 1 rep per week. Of course, when you are a newbie, you're definitely going to be gaining a lot more quicker than if someone that's been training for a long time. And I've been training for a little while, and I'll tell you that 1 rep of progression for 1 week is definitely not in my books, that's for sure. I'm probably looking at around every other week with optimal everything, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, dude, as this guy's talking, it's like, I swear, it feels like I'm listening to ChatGPT try to explain a YouTube video to me, or try to explain how to develop muscles. It's wild how low he's gone down. I used to watch his stuff too, and I was never really a big fan of his for his advice because I always saw that it was kind of stupid. But I thought I thought his steroid videos where he talks about other people's training program was kind of fun. Yeah, the trouble with this dude's freaking triceps is that he can't hit them for jack. Let's be honest, right? It's like, when did he fall off? He hasn't put in any effort into this entire video this entire time. Like, anybody that did any type of research into any of these types of things would already know that this is stupid, not even to watch the whole thing. So,
triceps are like 2/3 of the arm size you can potentially get, and they grow like crazy in response to training. Well, good training anyway. The trouble with triceps is that most people train them like, meh. Yeah, they get hit during chest and shoulder presses. And sure, on arm day, you'll do some pushdowns and dips, but you're missing out big time on being able to have way bigger triceps and thus more sex with women. First, pick a triceps isolation exercise that's either a lateral or medial head extension or a long head overhead extension, like skull crushers or overhead cable extensions, for example. Do 3 to 6 sets of that movement. Next, pick a pressing movement for the triceps, like dips or close grip deficit push-ups, for example, and crank away at that for 3 to 6 sets to near failure.
don't do 6 sets of that. I agree with him doing the tricep training at least twice a week, but I'm definitely not going to agree with him on the amount of sets that he's recommending. Besides the 3 sets, I would recommend 2 to 3 sets, and 3 being the maximum, but 6 sets is like dumb. That's just asking for fatigue and overtraining and being too tired the next time you hit your triceps.
On one day of the week, do your overhead work for triceps first, and a close grip press of your choice after. And on the other day of the week, 3 to 4 days later, do the horizontal or down pressing extensions of some kind first, followed by presses of your choice. That's 12 to 24 sets of triceps per week.
Jesus, 12 to 24 sets of triceps, dude? 12 to 24. How are people going to hear this and actually think, oh, I'm going to do 24 sets of triceps, 24 sets of biceps, and 24 sets of shoulders? That's just an insane amount of sets. That's just crazy. Now, with everything said and done, I already kind of had an idea how this whole video was going to go down, just based off of how he looks. Remember, I'm not shaming or body shaming or anything else. I'm looking at it through a bodybuilder's point of view, hit the lenses, the scope, right?
I'm going to say a few things. I'm going to say some bad words. You're just going to have to deal with it.
He is lacking in shoulders. He's lacking in biceps. He's lacking in triceps. He's lagging in other areas in his legs too. But the point is that this video is talking about those 3 specifically. And the answer to all of life's questions for these 3 muscle groups is not going to be more volume. It's not going to be more sets, more reps, more intensity, to an extent, of course. And it's not going to be just pounding away at these exact muscle groups for 24 sets a week. Now, I want us to take a quick look at how he does his shoulders and how he does his biceps and triceps. And those are where you're going to see the holes in his physique start to make more sense because of the way he's hitting it. And this is probably going to relate to you guys because if you're watching this for obvious reasons, you want to build up your muscle groups and you just happen to have lagging biceps, triceps, and shoulders, you're probably going to have the same issues as him. Now, if we look here really fast, when he does his shoulders, he shrugs it up a lot. He uses a lot of other muscle groups that aren't necessary to do shoulders. His biomechanics, I know some people are really annoyed by that word, but I mean, it's kind of true because it sounds sciencey or whatever, but his biomechanics are not very good for shoulders. As we watch right here, he loves to do those full ROM dumbbell lateral raises that go all the way up to the sky and then go back down around. More than 50% of that movement is doing zero for you. Nada. Zilch. Look from here and then look from here. Those areas are just dead zones, dude. Those aren't putting any strain on your delts. The only areas that are putting strain on your delts are the areas that are pushing against gravity. And those two areas are not pushing against gravity. You can't really avoid the bottom, but you can probably decrease your range of motion a little bit at the bottom and just start somewhere where the gravity is still taking a little bit of its toll on your delts and just start pumping out from there. Same with his biceps. His biceps aren't as bad as his delts when it comes to these movements. For obvious reasons, his biceps are a little more developed than his shoulders. But look at how he's lifting. It's like he's not working at all with the muscle groups. And when you see these, it looks like he's just pulling the weight up to himself. He's not properly lifting the weight when it comes to biceps. If you want to do the biceps, you want to do it like a door hinge. You want to push outwards. And I'm probably going to make a whole video later on, maybe next week or in 2 weeks from now or something, about proper mechanics on how these muscle groups can actually be targeted. But lastly, with triceps, look at how he's doing the triceps here too. It's just, he's not going over the bar. He's not pulling backwards. Because look, a lot of the movement for the triceps is you have to have your shoulders move. He's very stiff. He's very stagnant. I don't know if you can realize it, but a lot of his movements and a lot of the ways that he lifts are very powerlifting style. And that's the issue that he has with bodybuilding, is that he carried a lot of his powerlifting over to bodybuilding. And the people that watch his stuff are getting up because of that, because they watch how he lifts with his powerlifting mindset, and they think that it's going to translate over to bodybuilding. Now, he looks amazing to the average person. He's big, but that's all he is. He's just powerlifter big. He doesn't have a lot of that detail, a lot of that fullness in the muscle groups that he really wants to actively hit. He's got big chest. He's got big back, well, at least upper, middle, back, and traps, because a lot of his movements are hitting those areas the most. So all in all, it's like the reason why these areas, if you have the same issues as Dr. Mike here, your muscles being smaller is not because of undertraining. Your biceps, triceps, and shoulders are small because you don't know how to hit them. You're leaking a lot of your tension into other muscle groups where they take over, and you're not hitting that with as much intensity as you think. Now, a lot of you might be hitting it just like Dr. Mike. Look at how he's going real freaking intense right here, just going all out, balls to the walls, right? But the thing is that he's leaking all of that tension out to other muscle groups. So he's not actually hitting the muscles as hard as he thinks he's hitting. A lot of people think that movements are like recipes. You hit these movements enough times with enough sets and reps, and you will develop that muscle. For example, I go to the bench press, I do bench press, boom, I unlocked the bench press chest recipe. That's not how it works. How it works is that you have to train yourself to be able to hit those muscles a lot more effectively. If you have these problems just like he does, don't listen to him with the amount of sets and reps that you have to do, because a lot of this is geared towards steroid users. The amount of sets and reps that he does, and a lot of steroid users do, if you're natural, you will be crushed by this amount of volume. I'm telling you now, if you go to absolute 0 reps in reserve or all out to where you can't move the weight anymore with good form, you will not be able to recover from this amount of volume and you will get killed. And even your form is going to break down. You're going to have achy joints because of all this amount of movement. And he's had a huge issue with volume in the past because he doesn't go hard. And like I said earlier with intensity, he doesn't push all the way to the absolute max. He stops shy of a lot of repetitions in reservation. I mean, like, it's been documented many, many times. I'm not going to go into this video about how he lifts, but the point is that for people that are watching it, you aren't undertraining those muscles because you are too low in your volume. And I'll just wrap it up here by saying the reason why your muscle groups are small is because, I'm sorry, but you're not hitting them as hard as you thought they were. You just have to just focus a lot more on the actual muscle, the time under tension. Look a little bit more at your mechanics and how you're actually positioning yourself. If you like this video, like, subscribe, share. Every single one of you, you 5 viewers, I love every one of you. You're great. But honestly, if you're seeing this and you're watching his videos, you're being misinformed, especially if you're a natural. So go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, blah, 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 blah. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.